ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Los Angeles City Board of Public Works. Today is Wednesday, October 20th, 2021. Good morning, and it's good to see everybody. It's good to see our guests this morning in particular. Dr. Campos, you want to establish quorum for us, please?
Absolutely. Good morning, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Establishing roll call and quorum for today, we have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. Mr. President, you do have a quorum. At this time, we currently do not have any callers on the line under general public comment. We do have one speaker on the line for item number 7. In addition to that, for item number 7, we did receive an email comment letter that was distributed to all commissioners, and we also received this morning a Google comment received through our online comment web portal, and that has been distributed to all commissioners this morning as well. Mr. President, we do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment period, and we're also joined by our General Counsel, Mr. Ted Jordan.
Fantastic. I was just showing some great Dodger gear.
Although Mr. Jordan doesn't have a fabulous background today.
I know. What's going on with you today?
He's breaking the record here.
neither pictures nor Dodger background.
I'll fix it.
I knew you would. Fernando, you challenged him, and now he's on it for sure. All right, let's get going. We'll start quickly taking the. Wait, I'm sorry, Dutch Campos. Did you say there is any general public comment, or it's just a comment on item 7?
Only on item 7, no general public comment.
Okay, great. Please remind me when we get 7. Okay. Let's go ahead and take the minutes from Friday, October 1, 2021. I will motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Great enthusiasm for minutes. I got seconds from Villegas and Davis. Any concerns or objections, Garcia or Caloza? All right. Hearing none, the minutes from Friday, October 1, 2021 are adopted and approved forthwith. That brings us to really a very exciting and cool presentation, presentation from the Bureau of Street Services. The graduation ceremony, virtual as it may be, and sorry, gentlemen and ladies, but graduation ceremony for the motor sweeper operator class for summer of 2021. It's awesome to see y'all here, and our director for the Bureau of Street Services, Keith Mosey, is with us this morning as well. Mr. Mosey, why don't you go ahead and take it from here?
All right. Thank you, President Good, Commissioner, City Attorney, Dr. Campos, and fellow Public Works fellows. This is our Street Maintenance Technology program, and I'll give you a brief history on it. This program actually started in the 1980s, and we revamped it in the 1990s, working through Los Angeles Trade Technical College. This program offers specialized courses that allow our employees to focus on a specific area, enhance their job skills as heavy equipment operators, to report writing, learn math skills, and basic 101 when it comes to paving, concrete, and other things. You can get a associate's degree in this, a certificate of in this course as well, but you can also use this to enhance your job skills throughout the public works and street services. One of our more popular courses is the motor sweeper operator class, and this class basically trains our motor sweepers that actually go out and sweep the city streets on a daily basis, be it on local, residential, or some of our construction crews. And this is a direct correlation of upward mobility. You can become go from a maintenance laborer to a motor sweeper operator, which is basically a good promotion opportunity, a good job. This course specializes in training these students for several weeks at a time in how to maintain and operate these very expensive pieces of equipment. And with that, I'll just say this: I'd like to thank our esteemed director as far as that runs the program, and that is Madeline Smith, and also Melinda Chow and Martina Ruiz, who actually run this Street Maintenance Technology program, and our instructor, retired Assistant Director Abraham Navarro, who actually teaches the Street Maintenance Technology course along with some of our other courses, and of course our instructors, that basically, spend their time on the weekends to teach this course. And also the students who basically, do this, on their own, take it upon themselves to take these college courses, on their own, on the weekends to better themselves and improve their job skills. So I have to give a, hand to them for that. And with that being said, are there any questions?
No, this is exciting. This is great.
Yeah, so this is virtual. So this is the first time that we're able, we've done this in a while, and it's something that we're very proud of, doing. And, I was a student of the Streetmate Technology program back in the day. I've actually taken a motor sweeper operator class, operating a motor sweeper back in the day, things like that. So this is a good testament to if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish things within this period. You can be what you want to be. Promote to what you want to do and learn the job skills that, that we offer for them. And I won't talk too much more. And basically, I'm ready to hand out your certificates, so to speak, virtually. I'd also like to turn it over. Is Abraham with us? Abe Navarro?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
If you could say a few words, sir.
Hello, Keith. Oh, yes, very proud. Another class, the summer of 21. We've been doing this for 36 years. We started in 85, and we need to recognize the students. They sacrificed 13, 14 Saturdays from their families and from overtime. So it was a lot of dedication, a lot of perseverance on their part. So I'm happy to congratulate the new class of the summer of 21. Thank you.
Thank you. And can I get Madeline? Are you here with us, Madeline? I'm sure you are.
Hi, I'm here.
Before you say anything, Madeline's been running this program since the 90s, Madeline? Something like
1999.
1999. So thank you for all your hard work and basically helping our students matriculate, through this program over the decades. Really appreciate all your hard work and effort in doing this. And basically, these student graduations is a testament to your work. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and I wanted to honor Martina Ruiz, who is taking over the program for me because I am retiring soon. She handled this recent class, and she did an excellent job. It's a lot of work, a lot of coordinating, and it's been a pleasure working with this program and seeing students who start out with no commercial license to actually advance to graduating from this class. So it's a rewarding program, and I thank you for your kind words, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Martina? Oh, so Martina says she has audio technical problems. Okay, thank you, Martina. I'd like to ask any of our students if they'd like to say anything. Any of our students. Maybe Juan, who's taking some of my other courses through Wacalba.
Hello? I'm not sure if y'all can hear me.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say thank you for providing the class and creating an environment for upwards mobility for the employees of street services.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thomas. Appreciate your words.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Panel, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mose, Mr. Navarro, Ms. Smith, and all of my classmates. Just want to thank you guys for giving me or granting me the opportunity to get into this class and a chance to promote. I was looking forward to it from day one, but it took a little while, but it finally came through and we all succeeded.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Mr. Gordon and Mr. Thomas are some of my students in the other courses that they take through Streetmate Technology. So thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Yes, anytime, Mr. Mose.
Anyone else? All right, so I guess we're ready to hand out the virtual or the certificates virtually. President Good, I'll turn it back over to you to, I guess, hand that off. Oh, Mr. Barragan, I'm sorry. Mr. Good, President Good. Go ahead, Mr. Barragan.
I just want to say thank you to all the instructors and Mr. Navarro for giving us
You're welcome.
a good environment on the class and teaching us all the safety, and this is my first class, so I'm really happy that I was able to complete it and pass. I just want to say thank you to all the panel, and that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now back to you, President Good.
Okay. Great hearing from you, gentlemen. And great congratulations, Madeline, on your imminent retirement. And congratulations, Martina, on your getting in deeper into the program. And Mr. Navarro, thank you so much for all of your work on this. And obviously, Keith, thank you. And your story and your journey, I think, are emblematic and really a testament to why this is so important. I love telling your story, and it's fantastic. And I think I'm sure you're a great role model and mentor to the graduates of this program, all of whom I'm about to recognize. Now, it would be ideal, of course, to be able to hand these to you personally, but they will be in the mail. We have a nice let's see, graduation certificate here from the Board of Public Works. I'll read this, and then what I'm going to do is just I'm going to read through all the graduate names, and we'll give you all a round, and and we'll be off to operate. So the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Street Services, Motor Sweeper Operator Class, Certificate of Completion. We'll just start. Presented to Robert Angel, or Robert Angel. This certificate is presented in recognition of your hard work and commitment. Your effort exemplifies the Bureau's dedication to serve and improve the communities of the citizens of the City of Los Angeles. Presented on this day, the 20th day of October 2021 in the City of Los Angeles. Mr. Navarro, Mr. Mose, and I have signed these certificates, and you will all be receiving them. So is Mr. Angel here with us today or no? All right, well, congratulations, Robert. Our next graduate is Peter Arroyo. Is Peter with us? Congratulations, Peter. Next up, and I know he is here, Juan Barragan. Congratulations, Juan.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we get another Dodger win with your graduation certificate. Next up, and forgive me, I may do a poor job here. Tonatiuh Barragan. Did I?
Thank you.
Tony.
Thank you.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you.
Next up, Pete Carranza.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Thank you.
Congratulations, Pete.
Thank you.
Next up, Elise Doyle. Is Elise with us?
I'm here.
All right. Congratulations, Elise.
Thank you.
Love your hair.
Thank you.
Next up, you're welcome. Congratulations. Gavin Galasso.
Yep, right here.
Hey, Gavin, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love your hair, too.
Thanks.
Next up, Manuela Galvez. Manuela with us? Well, congratulations, Manuela. Next up, Larry J. Gordon. Is Larry with us?
Yes, he is.
Where's Larry?
There he is.
Congratulations, Larry. Next up, Elvis Haro.
Thank you all.
Hey, congratulations, Larry. Is Elvis with us? Elvis did not come to the building. I had to do that. That's funny. Congratulations, Elvis. Next up, Jaleel Holbert. Is Jaleel with us?
Yes, I am.
Hey, congratulations, Jaleel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, Jackie Jones. Jackie with us today? Well, congratulations, Jackie. Adon Ortega. Is Adon with us? Congratulations, Adon. Next up, Mark Ortez. Ortez? No? Well, congratulations, Mark. Next up, Juan Rubalcaba. Juan with us? All right, well, congratulations, Juan. Next up, Valerie Salcido. Congratulations, Valerie. Next up, I know this gentleman's with us, Michael Thomas. I think it's on Michael.
Here, sir.
All right.
Right here, sir.
Congratulations, Michael.
Thank you, sir.
And last but far from least, Zachary Weinroth. Is Zachary with us? No? Okay, well, congratulations, Zachary. I would just, I really, there's not a lot to add to Keith's words and frankly what you all said, but I would just say the marrow of this city are the women and men who are out there every day doing the work, and that's y'all. And what is so inspiring about this is that you all have made an active decision, an intentional decision to keep growing, and we're all grown-ups, and we know that there's a whole bunch of us out there that just don't make that decision in their lives, and it's inspiring to meet and to recognize and to be a little part of the journey of a bunch of folks who just committed themselves to do what they wanted to do and needed to do to keep moving their careers along. So that is heartening and exciting and exhilarating for me personally, and I'm really happy to be able to be here and be a part of it with y'all. So congratulations, y'all. You do the work, and then you just kept doing the work. So congratulations. And I'd ask Commissioner Villegas if she'd like to say anything as well.
Thank you. I think that Director Keith Mose and President Good said it, all just really a good appreciation from all of you just for the hard work that you do every single day, and for just taking the time on your weekends away from, downtime and away from family, just to be able to persevere and finish something like this. You should know that I recognize that effort. It's not easy. And I think that the least we could do today is recognize you for your hard work and in a lot of appreciation. And thank you, Mr. Navarro, for taking the time for so many years to educate our workforce here, and also to is it Madeline? Yeah, Miss Madeline that ran the program for such a long time, and to, I think, Martina, who's going to be taking over. Thank you so much, everyone, and just for our director, Mr. Keith Mose, for continuing this effort, and he knows firsthand how beneficial the program is. So congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to say one thing. Abraham Navarro was my instructor in the 90s. He taught me.
1991.
Yes.
That is genuinely awesome.
It's a lot of dedication. Thank you so much.
That's really exciting. Colleagues, would anyone like to add to our celebration here?
I do. I'm sorry. I just have to say something. This is I'm Aura Garcia, Vice President here at the Board of Public Works, and it's an honor to meet you all and to celebrate you and your accomplishment. This is probably my favorite part of being a commissioner, is the fact that I can see folks grow. And I know what it means to take on a career like this and be the first one to move that needle in your family. So congratulations, because you're not just improving the quality of life for your immediate family, but you're also improving it for the generations to come. And thank you for doing that, for being that pioneer in your family that's able to do that. So congratulations. And I say that with complete honesty and with complete heart, because that's the way I moved up as well. And I just want to say that I'm very proud of each and one of you. And that equals also Keith. Keith is a complete example of the mobility and the opportunities that we have here in the city. So thank you for being part of us. And congratulations.
Great. I also, Mr. President, would like to thank our director, Keith Mose of Street Services, but also Madeline Smith and Martina now, who will assume the duties of leadership for this program. This motor sweeper operator program we have seen come to the Board of Supervisors with numerous classes over the years. I think what is critically important for us in the Board of Public Works is not only to be a department that provides jobs, that we can create opportunities for individuals to come to work, but equally important to be able to sustain individuals in a career, to provide the knowledge and the skills for them to grow, as you had stated earlier, President Good. And this is what I commend Street Services for. This is not the only program that they have in which there is formal training for individuals to come and to engage and to grow and to develop. And this is the kind of institution we want to be in the Board of Public Works. So I congratulate all of the graduates of this program, and we look forward to your involvement as motor sweeper operators in the Bureau of Street Services. Good opportunity, Mr. Mose, and we look forward to many more classes coming before us. Congratulations, graduates.
And I will also add to the chorus, good morning. And I just feel so proud of you all for your investment in yourself, in your families, and in your careers, because, you know, as my colleagues already mentioned, it's more than just a job to you, it's your career. And the work that you all do hasn't been easy, you know, especially in the past year during COVID-19. Some of us, you know, we get the privilege of being able to telework sometimes and work from home, and you all are out there, you know, grinding, being out in the field. And I just want to commend you all for the hard work that you've put in, especially in the last 18 months. And then to do that, and on top of that, actually take classes is extraordinary. And so you have all really are just the heartbeat of the city and are true public servants to the community. And I just want to also say that we should also give certificates to Mr. Navarro, Ms. Smith, and Mr. Mose for keeping this program alive, because this is what makes the city great, is us investing in our most valuable resource, which is our people. And I hope that just as everybody else here has paid it forward so that you can all have the opportunity, I hope you share your story and your success with your colleagues, and also encourage them to take on this class in the future as well, and to pay it forward so that we can continue to grow these opportunities and invest back into our city. And so I just want to commend all of you again. Congratulations. We're so proud of you, and we're so proud that you have decided to continue and progress in your career here in our Public Works family. And so congratulations, and go Dodgers.
Yeah, I wish we could just do this all day, actually. All right, well, with that, Keith, any parting words? And congratulations, graduates, you guys and gals. You've certainly made our mornings, so hopefully we've contributed to yours as well.
Yeah, Yeah, I'll just say, this our Student Technology program is very important to us. Our younger generation of employees are taking these core courses. Like I said, teach them about paving, about concrete, about plan reading, other things like that, so that they, that ability advance, in their careers within the bureau and even outside the city in some cases, or outside the bureau in some cases. And so it's very important that we, teach all of our employees about their vocation, about what they do and what public works is all about. And, it's a testament to a lot of our supervisors, some of our superintendents have actually graduated from this class. Even some of our former directors are students of this course, these courses over the years. So it's very important for our institution, as Mr. Dr. Davis said, that it's very important to strengthen our institution with institutional knowledge of who we are and what we're all about. And again, thank you to, Mr. Navarro, retired Marine, retired services, assistant director, basically who has been the backbone of these courses over the decades, teaching, people like myself and others. And you're right, Commissioner Colosa, giving back. It's very important to give back to the students so that they one day can be whatever they would like to be within the city, be it director, be it superintendent, be it a commissioner, if they so choose to do so. And so it's very important for us. So thank you again for having us.
Thank you, Keith. Melinda, looks like your hand is raised. Ms. Chow, sorry.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Thank you, commissioners, for giving us the opportunity to recognize all these graduates. And I just want to add that, with the pandemic in the past year, it has been very difficult. And most of our other street maintenance technology classes have been held virtually. And this is one of because of the pandemic, we actually had a hiatus of offering the motor sweeper operator class, and because this class is one of the few that actually requires in-person instruction and hands-on training. And so we were very fortunate to be able to offer this class in the summer of 2021, and special kudos for all the students who were willing to participate during this pandemic situation. So I want to just recognize them again and say great thank you for their commitment, as well as to give kudos to all the other assistant instructors that assisted with the assisted Abraham Navarro with teaching the class. And I'm just going to name their names real quick, and some of them are present with us today. They include Steve Jacobelis, Hans Duran, Letitia Garnica, Jeffrey Harris, Nakia Drinkard, Roberta Longino, Michael Cox, Philip Langston Phillips, Brent Jones, Latrice Lewis, and Ray Villalobos. Thank you, everyone, for helping out and making this class successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda, Ms. Chow. And thank you, all of you, for your work on this program. It really is a model for the city, and we love it. So congratulations to everybody. So thank you all, and have a great day, everybody. Okay, with that, let's move into the remainder of our agenda. What I'd like to do, in the interest of limiting the amount of time, well, Dr. Campos, do we have the folks from Metro here for item number 8?
Yes, we do.
All right, let's go ahead and take item 8 so that, that the folks from Metro are not waiting for a couple of hours. We want them working on the projects. So we'll go to number 8, or item 8, folks. Item 8 is transportation projects status updates. Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority and Department of Transportation. Recall, folks, we had this on the agenda a couple times, but it's been continued and for absences and things like that. So let's jump right in. Who do we have, Dr. Campos?
Mr. President, I'm adding them as the panelists, and if you give me about 30 seconds, we will kick it off with Samay Golly. I believe should be joining us now. And Johanna, would I make you co-host to share your screen for the presentation? Samay, this is Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Really quick, is Johanna the co-host for the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. I see her dialed in twice, so she may be dialing in by phone. So Johanna, I am going to connect your audio line through if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. So since you're dialed in twice, you may have to mute one of the devices so that we can reduce the feedback.
I got it.
Perfect. Great. I am sending you co-host rights in about 5 seconds. Oops. I believe I captured all the individuals from the Metro team. If you are here joining us from the Metro team and I have not added you to the panelists list, if you can raise your hand by pressing *9, or you can click on the raise hand icon at the lower right hand side of your screen. Joe and Annette, thank you very much. I will go ahead and add you at this time. And Jim, I'm also sending you an invite.
Fernando, have you added Stephanie Leslie?
Yes, I have. I saw her just a few minutes ago. There you go. Stephanie, you should have received something from me in about 5 seconds. Great. I believe the Metro team is all on. If I miss someone, again, you can press *9 to raise your hand or click on the raise hand icon. All right. I believe the show is yours now.
Okay, thanks, Fernando. Good morning, President Good. Good morning, directors. My name is Sami Gali. I'm the Deputy Chief Officer, Program Management for LA Metro. We're going to go through a number of projects, so I will introduce them one by one. The first is the Crenshaw project, and the presenter would be Stephanie Leslie. She is the Deputy Executive Officer for the project. Stephanie, can you take it away, please?
Good morning, and thank you. I want to talk to you about the Crenshaw project, give you an update as to where we stand currently. Statistics are the same, 8.5 miles, new light rail, 8 stations, $2.1 billion project budget. Next slide, please. Starting at the north end of the project, these are some shots from our Crenshaw Exposition Station. The bottom right, this is the entry from the plaza that will take you down to the concourse level and ultimately to the trains. So we're getting up all of our entry canopies, our cladding, stainless steel is going in, our rolling gates are going into place. In the background, just behind this stainless steel cladding, is the art surround, which you will see as you go down the escalators and the stairs. The top left photo is a close-up of the art glass at this particular station. Top right, some of the planting, landscaping that is going in around the perimeter of the station. Next slide, please. This station, Expo Crenshaw, was originally supposed to be a park and ride lot, but we are now changing that. The top left photo, the contractor is grading this area behind behind our plaza, and this will ultimately be turned over to a joint development project. Bottom right, this is a shot from our platform level at the Expo station. Next slide, please. Continuing south, we're now at MLK. On the left, this is our mosaic installation at the concourse level. All three of our underground stations have a mosaic component. And again, this is at the Martin Luther King station. The top right, we are, I believe, complete now with installation of all of our amenities at the plaza level. You're looking at one of our bike lockers, and in the background, the elevator, which will take patrons down to the concourse level. The bottom right, we're doing some testing on the escalator system, and testing is ongoing at all of the underground stations. Next slide. Continuing south, we're now at the Vernon, Lamert Park Station. Photo on the left, this is the mosaic art installation at the concourse level at Vernon. On the right, bottom right, this is a picture of the entrance from the plaza down to the concourse level, installation of a lot of our signage, our logos, the stainless steel cladding. And top right, finishing the stainless surfaces at the elevators at the Vernon station. Next slide, please. We're still at the Vernon station. Part of one of our safety systems is our deluge system. So if there is a fire on one of the trains at the underground station, we have the ability to flood that fire with water coming from both above and below. On the left, this is a test of the overcard deluge, and on the right, we're testing out the undercard deluge system. And again, this is at each of our three underground stations. Next slide. Continuing south, this is through Park Mesa Heights. This paving work between 48th and 60th originally was supposed to be performed by the contractor. Through negotiations, we removed that from their scope of work, and now it's the City of LA Street Services that is performing this work. And they are pretty much done with the repair work, and they will be following up shortly with the ultimate cap pave. And then we will be done with all paving through Park Mesa Heights. Next slide. As part of our project, we had to remove many trees along Crenshaw Boulevard, both on the sidewalks and in the median. And as a requirement from the city, we have to replace those trees on a 2-to-1 basis. But Crenshaw could not accommodate all of those trees that were required due to spacing requirements. So a lot of the trees that we could not place on Crenshaw, we are planting in adjacent neighborhoods to the alignment. So these are just shots of some of those trees going in what we call off Crenshaw. On the left, this is along Slauson Boulevard, I believe just east of the project alignment. And on the right is one of the residential neighborhoods adjacent to the project. Next slide. All of our art installations are now complete at all 8 of the stations. This is an example of the porcelain enamel artwork. And porcelain is going in at all 8 stations at the platform level. And this is a shot from the Hyde Park station, which is at Slauson and Crenshaw. Next slide. Continuing south, we're now at the Fairview Heights station at West Boulevard and Florence, On the left, these are pictures of the porcelain enamel installation that is running parallel to the platform. And the other 2 photos are taken from the ramp, the entrance to the station, one facing toward the parking that was provided. adjacent to the station and the other looking toward the station entrance. Next slide. Continuing south, we're now at the downtown Inglewood station at La Brea and Florence. You see our porcelain enamel artwork on the left, and on the right, crews here are installing anti-graffiti coating. All of our stainless surfaces, all of our map cases, they do get this anti-graffiti coating applied to them. Next slide. This is at Eucalyptus, just west of La Brea, and crews here are testing the equipment at this Eucalyptus grade crossing. Next slide. We're now at the Westchester Veteran Station at Hendry and Florence, and you're looking at on the left the porcelain enamel that is going up, or that has gone up at this station. On the right, a picture of the station itself, the entrance, and the platform in the distance. Next slide. Our last of the 8 stations, this is at Sanitary Aviation, our only aerial station on the project. On the left, crews are installing the anti-graffiti coating on the edges, sides of the bridge and the columns for the bridge. On the right, bottom right, you're looking at a plaza view, the plaza on the lower level, and up above, behind the gold art fencing, is the station, the tracks themselves and the station platform entrance, excuse me. And the top right, a close-up of some of the porcelain enamel work that is being, the porcelain enamel at the platform level of Sanitary Aviation. Next slide. And that's it for our progress in terms of closures. We're complete with all of our closures, full closures on Crenshaw for the Crenshaw project. The only thing remaining are lane closures here and there and closures for the City of LA work. Next slide. Again, our outreach efforts, we're continuing outreach to inform the community with respect to closures related to the City of LA work, and we are continuing to hold our community meetings. Since COVID, they are all virtual in nature. And Annette, I may have taken your thunder. Are you on the line, Annette?
I am on the line, but you did a really good job about summarizing.
Why don't you take it over? Sorry.
No worries. Sure. As Stephanie has mentioned earlier, we have continued with our community update meetings. In September, we met with the Community Leadership Council and provided them an update on the project, as well as our CEO had a meeting with our key stakeholder groups, and where she introduced herself, and it was basically her saying hello and providing an update and a general update on the project, as well as initiatives for our agency. And we will continue to provide the virtual meetings as we move forward, and we're hoping that starting the beginning of next year, if we still are on this project, we'll start in-person outreach. We also continue with the Eat Shop Play program, which is one of the mitigation programs for the small mom and pop businesses along the corridor. We continue to provide support to them in terms of marketing and also helping them increase their exposure online and continue to support them in that way. Recently, we had an all-hands meeting on the Crenshaw project, and we used a local food vendor, a restaurant owner, to provide the catering, and that is part of the eShop Play program. Anytime there's an event or an activity that we can support by purchasing lunch or the food from our local restaurants, that is what we do. So that's also a way that we're continuing to support our small businesses. I believe that Jessica is on the line, if she wants to provide a brief update on the BSC and BIF.
Yes, good morning. Next slide, please. Hi, thanks. Good morning, President Good and Commissioners. My name is Jessica Spearman. We've met many times before. I oversee the Business Solution Center and the Business Interruption Fund. Our Business Solution Center is a business resource center that's along the Crenshaw LAX Transit Project. You've heard about us many times. We provide hands-on business development, that expert technical coaching, and that advice that any kind of business might need that is impacted by construction. This program does not have specific eligibility requirements, so we're able to support a variety of businesses along the rail corridor. Just some quick stats. As of Q2 of this year, we've contacted over 450 businesses. Of those, over 300 have participated in intake and assessment. We've ultimately served just under 350 businesses, 341, and we've provided over 1,000 unique referrals to businesses, which is when they come in and they need something specific, we're able to categorize that as a referral and help to refer them to whatever services that they may need. Next slide, please. So I'd like to provide you with an update about our Business Interruption Fund. I know you recently heard from me during a closure, I think, a meeting, in September about a closure along the Purple Line. But I'd like to provide you with an update about how the Business Interruption Fund is being implemented during this time. During this time and during construction and throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, we have remained active. As of June of this year, we are now accepting applications for businesses that have experienced construction along all three of the rail corridors from construction that they have experienced from March 2020 forward. So prior to this point, we were only processing grants for businesses that had experienced construction from whether that was February or January of 2020 and previous. And during this time, we really wanted to make sure we would be able to continue to implement the program, maintaining the integrity of the program, and also being able to support businesses. So as of June of this year, we are now accepting applications for businesses that have experienced that transit rail, that direct construction during the pandemic, during the COVID-19 pandemic, so from March 2020 forward. We've already begun to take businesses to committee and have begun to grant businesses with financial assistance for impact that they have experienced during the pandemic. And that is specific Metro direct construction impact that they have experienced during this time. Small businesses who have experienced impact, they may be eligible, as always, with our program businesses, it's always a may be eligible since we have specific eligibility requirements that a business must meet. Speaking of our eligibility requirements have not changed. We do have additional technical qualifications that a business may need to adhere to during this time period, but we have not actually changed our eligibility requirements. And of course, businesses can always just outreach to our fund administrator to apply for the program and to learn more information. Next slide, please. And just to provide you with some updates, and Commissioner Colosa, we heard you and we have added the difference from the last time we presented to you. So as of just earlier this month, we've awarded 784 grants. That's an increase of 21 grants since the last time we presented to you. The grant value, is at a little over 19 million, specifically for businesses along Crenshaw. And that's an increase of over $600,000. And if you notice, the business count remains at 232, which means that the businesses that have received grants during this time period, from the last time we presented to now, those are actually repeat grantees, as businesses are often eligible more than once if they have direct construction impact and if they meet all of the eligibility requirements. And I believe that ends my slides for Crenshaw. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica. That concludes Crenshaw. Happy to answer your question before we move to the next project.
Yes, Mr. President. Okay, let me.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Crenshaw team, and really appreciate that. Dr. Davis, sounds like you've got some questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you all so very much for this updated report, comprehensive report, quite actually. And it seems as if we have had some progress towards reaching our goal. My question to you is regarding the route at the Aviation station. What happens at Aviation after that?
At the
Aviation. We have Aviation as a stop, right?
We have a new station at Century Aviation, and our line will continue south past LAX And
Oh, so it will in fact go to LAX.
it goes beyond LAX. It's the Lava Lamp project, people mover project that will take patrons actually onto the airport project, onto the airport property. But our line, Crenshaw, will stop at the AMC project. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, just south of Arborvita. And then we have our Century Aviation station. And it will continue then to the Green Line, the aviation station on the Green Line.
So in fact, if I'm a passenger at the aviation stop, I can get off there and catch the Green Line and go into the airport?
Well, there is an easy, sorry, Dr. Davis, there is an easier way to do that. LAWA has a project building a people mover that's going to intersect with the Crenshaw project at 96th Street. So the easier way is to take the Crenshaw, say you take from the Expo, you go south to 96th Street, we building a huge terminal there, and that's the terminal will intersect with the people mover, you take it to the airport proper.
So is that 96th Street destination our kind of micro Grand Central Station where I can get off and go in various directions throughout the city, or just specifically guided towards the airport?
It's the airport. It will have a bus terminal as well that feeds different directions.
And so, in fact, what happens if, in fact, I do service and I get off at 12 midnight? What time was the service stop?
I think
somewhere around 12 midnight. Let's say 12 midnight. So, what other transportation entities are at that stop? You mentioned that there is a people mover, correct?
Yeah, that's the LAWA people mover going to take you inside the airport.
Are cabs available at that stop? Will cabs be there as well? Let's say if I'm at the end of the route, it's 12 midnight, I'm on my way home, and I am at the last stop. So we have people movers that are there that could get me to the airport. Do we also have any other kinds of transportation like cabs? I don't know if they still even use cabs or not. or is it Uber or what is available there to get a person to their destination given the network that we have set up?
I believe so, in addition to Metro Micro as well. That's going to be served this area. Annette, do you have any more updated information than me?
So yes, this is the Airport Metro Connector Station, which is an additional station to the Crenshaw LAX current line that we're all familiar with. That station at the Airport Metro Connector will have a facility for buses and for Metro Micro, which is like our own Metro Lyft or Uber service. There'll also be spaces for the Uber and Lyfts to come through. If there's cabs, there probably will be. But all the services that will be provided, we can get more information from our operations team, who is the team who will be planning for the services that will be available at this location.
But so good. So basically, our plan, based upon what I hear you saying, is to have at the 96th Street station these various alternative transportation vehicles that will get us from A to B. So that we will have the mover, we will have your special Uber access, and cabs will be invited if they're still in business as well. Is that correct?
Correct. And the station is designed as a major terminal. It's not a normal station.
This is called. I can interrupt real quick, Mr. Gailey. Sorry about that, but this is called the Conrack. It is going to be a massive, unprecedented facility with, I don't know the numbers, but an enormous amount of parking capacity and all means for moving into and out of the airports. Basically, the whole goal, via the people mover, the whole goal is to limit the amount of traffic into the central terminal area. Everybody goes to the Conrack, including folks coming from the Crenshaw line, and all modes, Dr. Davis, move out from there. Fair to say, Mr. Gailey?
Yes, absolutely.
So, in fact, in terms of getting to the airport, how will I get to the airport? Through the people mover? It'll carry me into the airport, or do we have a rail that goes right into the airport?
People mover.
We have a people mover.
Yeah.
So our plan is obviously a little bit different than some of the other plans, where you have a car that goes right into the lobby of the airport. We didn't do that, obviously.
We can't do that. We have with a functioning airport that's on a horseshoe like that with very limited space.
I see.
The only real way to do this, that was what the automatic people mover has always been envisioned. We're just not in a position to move a subway line into LAX at this point. The APM is going to do that, and it's going to do it for someone coming in their own car, coming in a Lyft, coming in a taxi, coming by bike, coming by carrier pigeon, coming by airplane to the Conrack. That's a joke, but certainly the Crenshaw line.
Okay. Thank you.
And the automatic people mover is in construction right now, as is the Conrack as well.
Yeah, okay.
And then also my final question, connectivity is what I'm looking at here. Now, the rental cars, is there interaction between this thing and the rental car company? All of my questions are around accessibility around airport.
All the rental car facilities will all be at the Conrack.
Okay, okay.
Think of that as the hub.
Okay.
Around LAX access.
Okay.
And the whole goal is to create a hub with some distance from the actual airport so that you have less of the legendary cluster that we have at the airport. Have this central facility a bit removed that becomes that sort of hub of the wheel, if you will. And so you're going to rent a car, you're going to rent it there, you're going to jump on the APM. You're going to jump on the APM to get back to drive, to do that as well.
So that would be analogous to our Grand Central Station in so many ways, a place where we can exchange to go from one site, one section of the city to the next, including access to the airport.
In essence, yeah, but more about the airport, yeah.
Great.
And final comment, Dr. David, is that Crenshaw intersect with Expo in the north and the Green Line in the south. So you got the whole network accessible to you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And what's the final question? When do we anticipate that we will complete the phase of the project that we're engaged in now? When do we think we will be up and ready for the Crenshaw line?
Up to the 96th Street, the terminal that we're talking about, we're going to be in a position to take it over from the contractor this year.
Okay.
The north section, maybe a couple more months.
Okay. Also, my observation in terms of the trees, I think perhaps it was a great idea to do Slauson, because we've had individuals to come to us from urban forestry or someone indirectly related to them in terms of doing a project where they have identified Slauson as a place in which they would like to see more canopy. And so they have a special project there. And so what you're doing and adding to Slauson too can be a positive interrelationship between them achieving their goal to have more canopy on that Slauson area. So I'm very happy to see what we are doing here in terms of the extra trees that we have and where we've chosen to place them collaborates with an existing project that also seeks to do the same thing. And I think that that collaboration is a perfect example of what we try to do in government in terms of communicating with each other to get more bang for our buck. Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Thank you. So we'll move to the next project, Region Connector, and the presenter is Matt Antonelli. He's the project manager for the Region Connector. Matt?
Good morning, President Good, Commissioners.
Hey, Matt.
Good to see everyone. So getting into Regional Connector, as you all are very aware, our project is just under 2 miles long. It has 3 new underground stations that we're building right here in downtown Los Angeles. We are looking still to open sometime in the fall of next year, hoping to complete construction here in the next few months. Progress about 86%, and moving along in each of these stations. So we'll go through each one one by one here. Next slide, please. This is something that we're all pretty excited about. It's the first train inside our new tunnel. So it's a minor milestone for us as a project. We're doing a clearance test here to make sure that nothing would be impacting our trains as they're operational. We just got power turned on at one of our stations here last week, and starting to actually have live wire testing here in the next week or two. So good momentum, good progress that we're seeing, and we're excited to have a train in the tunnel. Next slide. Street restoration at Temple Street. We appreciate you all working with us and extending our closure there at Temple. I'm happy to report that it was opened per our last approval. We were able to fix those engineering issues that we had talked about last time and open it back to the public. So that's a good sign, and we are well underway on First Street, working on First Street closures to get that open the next spring. Next slide, please. Show some of the entrance structure here at the Broadway station. You can see we're well underway. We're just finishing up the top part. On the left picture there, you can see that kind of grid area in the back is our casement for the elevators for our entrance portal. So the contractors working hard to get everything open to the public. On the street level, we were able to open everything up to the traffic, and now we're continuing our civil portion of the work and up top, and then our systems portion of the work down below into the actual station itself. Next slide, please. Going over to our third station over at the Grand Avenue Arts Bunker Hill Station. You can see on the picture on our left is our pedestrian bridge and our entrance structure itself into the station. And then on the picture on the right, you actually see some curb and gutter going in. So we are into the street restoration phase of that and starting getting everything ready there and working on our final pedestrian bridge and entrance structure. Right now, the contractors focus on 6 elevators that fit within that structure there to get the public up and down into the station. Besides all the civil work going on, obviously systems work is a big priority for us, and getting all of our back rooms up and running and everything starting to get tested out, which is the next phase of the project. Go ahead, next slide, please. Flower Street, a lot of the emphasis is underground right now. We did get the decking removed up top, and we'll get into that here in a second. But the work now is strictly underground for the next while until we get street restoration in. And we are focused on the tie-in to the 7th and Metro station. I know I've talked to you all in the past about our bus bridge opportunities and that we've had. We have completed 7 of the 10 bus bridges successfully. We have another one scheduled here in another couple weeks, and hope to have all the bus bridges done and all the impacts to the 7th and Metro station done by December of this year, and open that back up. Next slide, please. As far as our,
Hey,
yes.
Matt, can I just ask a silly question? How come
Yes, sir.
there's a handrail on the train track?
Can you go back to the picture, please? So we do have handrails along all of our tracks in case if the train was to break down, they'd be able to get out safely. And also in case any maintenance workers need to access it, we have a handrail there.
Super smart. That's why you're doing this, not me.
Good question, President. Good. No worries. Next slide, please. Looking at our upcoming street closure request, we are looking at our holiday moratorium right now and working with the city there. As far as our current closures go, First Street westbound is something that we have in place until April of next year. I haven't forgot about my commitment there. So we're working hard on that. Flower Street, I'm actually happy to report we had the Flower Street. This is actually weekend closures. We had weekend closures that were planned from June all the way through November. There was 20 of them in particular. We were able to finish some of that work early and not use, I want to say, about 7 of those weekend closures. So that's good news there that the contractor is able to get the work done ahead of time. We will be using some of the enclosures here in the next few weeks, and that is mainly to repair a settlement area, an existing condition on Flower Street over by between 6th and Wilshire that we work with the city and created a deal on. So You will see some weekend closures here in the next few weeks, and that's really just to repair those issues. And our decking has all been removed, so the contractor's been well there. Future closures will be needed for our final restoration. And that gets into your final paving and striping, and we're still working with the contractor in the city to determine those limits and put a plan together to come back to you all for some weekend closures. Next slide, please. Olga's team is continue to be out there and making a presence in the community and doing a really good job of getting ahead of everything. So we've been able to work through some really tough issues and are continuing to give public a voice and to work with them and to reduce the impacts to our project that plays on the community. So I can't speak enough about Olga and her team. She's done an outstanding job and continues to do that. With regards to this interruption fund, I don't know, Jessica, did you have anything for regional specifically that you wanted to talk about, or I know you cover a lot of general topics in Crenshaw's presentation.
I did. There should be a slide. Next slide, I think. Great, thanks. Yes, for the Little Tokyo area, as of earlier this month, we've increased our grants by 1 for this area, so we're at 101 grants for a grant value of a little over 2.1 million, pardon me. And since that last grant report, that increase is about 42,000. The business count is at 33. For Second and Broadway, this segment eligibility ended in 2017, so these numbers have not changed. But of course, they do correlate to the total grant amount that we've awarded over the course of the program. And again, like Matt said, with the Crenshaw information, we are now accepting applications for businesses that have experienced construction impact over the last year, so during the COVID-19 pandemic, and that includes all of the rail corridors, Crenshaw, the Little Tokyo Area Regional Connector, and Purple Line Extension Section 1, Section 2, and Section 3. Thanks.
Thank you, Jessica. That's all I have, President Good. Commissioners, if you had any questions or anything you'd like to bring up, happy to answer them.
I have a question for this one. Can you, if that's okay, President Good? Okay.
Absolutely. Sorry, I gave a thumbs up. I didn't know if you saw me, Jessica. Sorry.
No, that's why I just unmuted because everyone looks so tiny right now. Can you explain the outreach for the BIF for this one a little bit more? Because I know that, and this is really helpful data, and thank you for including it for this presentation, how only 1 was awarded from the last time that you presented.
Sure. So we're really looking at where the construction is occurring, and within that direct construction impact, we've really had a lot of construction impact along Temple, in between, I'm trying to think of where that is, in between Alameda and Vignes, I believe. There's a lot of construction impact that's gone on within that area, and there are only a few eligible businesses that are within that segment. And so our program really depends on where that direct construction impact there is for us to have businesses be potentially eligible. But there are several that I can think of off the top of my head: KC Stylus, usually NT Auto Repair, and a few others that are within that area that have had that direct construction impact. And so it just depends on that they meet the eligibility requirements and that they come to committee.
Did we reject more than
No.
award? Okay. The reason why I'm just curious, because obviously I know we had an extension of the street closure, which is a construction impact, and so I am surprised that that was a unforeseen extension of that closure, and yet somehow it only resulted in a +1 additional grant.
Yeah. Maybe I could jump in, Jessica. So the closure on Temple that you're speaking of right now really has no businesses on it. It's the fire department and then us. We're the EWP. Okay. So it didn't have any kind of impact to access or availability to any local businesses in that area. Unlike if you were to close Central or First Street or something like that, where we're at.
Got it. Thanks for that clarification, Matt. Sorry about that. And I did say Temple, and I meant to say First Street in between Alameda and Vignes. That's where the businesses are, and that's where there's a construction impact, and that's where the rail alignment is. Sorry about that.
No, you're right. And First Street has just been closed as of less than a month ago. So it's and the good thing about the First Street closure, Commissioner Colosa, is that we're closing westbound. And so there's no businesses on the westbound side, so we don't block access to anyone like we've done in the past. So everyone does have a full accessibility to to the business on the going eastbound on First Street.
Got it. Okay, thank you for clarifying. I just wanted to understand that a little bit more, but I don't have any more questions on this one. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions? I mean, I'd actually like to hold them till the end if we can, but if there's anything burning, please let us know. Please let me know. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Gailey, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Matt. We're moving to the purple line. So section 1, purple line. The presenter is Jim Cohen. He's the executive officer and the project manager for section 1.
Good morning, President Good and commissioners. Section 1, just for an overview, we have 3 stations and just under 4 miles of tunnel. We are 72% complete as of this date. Next slide, please. At La Brea Station, we did accomplish, we were right in front of the board last month or so, where we asked for a closure of South Sycamore. So the upper right photograph is indicating a successful opening of North Sycamore. During that weekend, we shifted traffic from the south to the north and also closed South Sycamore. So thank you very much. And that opening and closing of Sycamore went off without a hitch. The lower photograph is in La Brea Station. Now that our tunneling is complete, we're able to place some additional concrete that was held off because of the tunneling operation. And this is a section of the invert in La Brea Station that's being placed. You're looking from the east to the west end of the station. We are progressing well at La Brea Station, and the lower right photograph indicates we are installing electrical, mechanical, and plumbing in the various ancillary rooms at the station. In addition to this, we've started our excavation of our appendage number 5, which is in South Sycamore, which is why we asked for that street closure. So all in all, La Brea Station is going well, and the impact to the public, i.e. that traffic switch, went off without a hitch. Next slide, please. At Fairfax, the upper photograph is just showing a roof placement. This is we've completed our roof placements for a while. We still have to place some roof sections of Fairfax on the extreme east and west end, but those were held off because of the tunneling. But now that the tunneling is done, we'll be able to eventually get back and finish the roof of Fairfax. But while we're on hold on the roof, we are working on the extreme east end and west end of Fairfax Station at the invert level. This is the block 2, the south rebar. So again, now that the tunneling has been completed, this opened up a lot of concrete that had to wait until the tunneling was done. So we're working at that level. In addition, the lower right photograph is showing the plenum steel. This is part of the heavy ventilation system that we have to keep the station safe. That steel goes up. On top of that steel, there's a corrugated metal decking, and that arched area from the top of the steel to the top of the roof is used for ventilation. In addition to Fairfax, we're actively working on various appendages at the Johnny site at the southwest corner of Fairfax, and also Orange Grove. Next slide, please. Here's our closure request. The top bar is what we were requested previously. We have opened North Sycamore, and the middle bar there is we've closed South Sycamore. And to do that work and also do some other work on the south side of the street, and that will be going through the second quarter of 22, and then we'll be requesting prior to that time to close Orange on the south side of Wilshire. Next. And Jessica will speak on the BIF for section 1 of the Purple Line.
Hi again. Two more times and then I'll be done for today and you won't hear me anymore. But for section 1 of the purple line, we're looking at an increase of 5 grants, so a total of 253 grants. Total grant value over $6.4 million since our last report. That's an increase of over $57,000 and an increase of 1 business that has received a grant award. Thanks so much.
Any questions for me?
I think we can go forward, Mr. Gelly. Thank you. By the way, just as I'm assuming, or I will request, can you make sure, Mr. Gelly, while I'm thinking about it, to send this presentation to Dr. Campos, who actually may already have it. Dr. Campos, will you make sure and send this, distribute this to the members afterwards?
Absolutely, Mr. President. That's been distributed to commissioners, but I'll follow up again.
Thank you.
Thank you. So section 2, and we have Zev Farley. He's the Deputy Executive Officer for section 2 of the purple line. Zev. Zev. Okay, so we'll move to section 3, then we'll get back as soon as we can get Zev. So section 3, we have Matthew Crow. He's the Deputy Executive Officer for the project.
Good morning, President Good and commissioners.
All right. Now you should be able to hear me. Is that better?
Oh, let's go to Zeph then. You'll hear me later. Zeph's much nicer than me.
Okay. Go ahead, Zeph.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, and Mr. Crow says you're very nice, Zeph, so please meet that standard. That was a joke.
All right, so it seems odd. If you guys are nodding your head, that sounds like you guys can hear me, but I can't hear you. Is that correct?
We can hear you. Make sure the speakers is on.
Okay, why don't we go back to the original alternative plan and hear from Mr. Crow, and maybe someone can work with Mr. Farley on the technology.
I can hear you guys now.
Oh.
Back to you, Zach.
Okay, we're going to go back one more time. Now it's
all right. Sorry about that technical wait. I mean, we've only been doing these Zoom meetings for how long?
Hey, I know. Don't worry. I have at least a mistake a day on.
Right. Okay. Well, so thank you, commissioners, for giving me a shot here to give you an update as section 2. So our section 2 of the purple line is 2.5 miles and 2 stations, one of which is in the neighboring city, Beverly Hills, but obviously one of the stations here in Century City. Our office for the project happens to be adjacent to the construction site for the Century City Constellation Station. So we can move on to the next slide. So there it is, Constellation Station, or adjacent to the Watt Tower Plaza. We can keep moving to the next slide. Constellation Avenue, the Stars. So principally, our construction project at this point has 3 components of work. We've got station construction at Wilshire Rodeo, we've got station construction at Constellation, and we have the 2 running tunnels at present between Century City and the Wilshire Rodeo Station in Reach 5. The 2 tunnel boring machines, Ruth and Harriet, are working now exclusively under Wilshire Boulevard, headed towards the Golden Triangle, and with the current progress of about 40 feet per day for each of the 2 machines. The intent is to have the machines get to the Wilshire Rodeo Station likely by the end of this year, be tuned up for a little bit of maintenance, dragged through the stations, and then relaunched to proceed eastward, again under Wilshire, all the way to the La Cienega Station and tie up tie into the Section 1 project. The machines themselves have also recently entered the second of 2 seismic zones. Once they get out of the seismic zones, we've got nothing but routine concrete, precast concrete segments to install. So we'll move on to the next slide. So, Constellation Station, square underneath the intersection of Avenue of the Stars and Constellation Boulevard. Work has been going underneath the deck panels to support utilities, DWP water, DWP power, sanitary, sewer, fiber optics, even N-wave steam and chilled water lines are being supported. That will allow for continued excavation to proceed from the second level bracing all the way down to the invert slab. One of the things that isn't on this particular slide, but just started in the last week or so, in addition to station box excavation, we've begun station entrance excavation. So the area where passengers will eventually get on escalators and elevators to get down to the station at Constellation, that work has begun. There is some remaining utility work that needs to be done for sewers and storm drains, particularly a storm drain that runs north of the station box in Avenue of the Stars. That work is the design itself is being finalized and routed through the BOE and the sanitation districts for approval for the final design of that work. It also happens to be very close to where the final LA Marathon ending station is. So we had meetings 2 weeks ago with the Marathon Committee. We understand that the Marathon is going to have a huge event in the neighborhood. Fortunately, all of our work, for the most part, is going to be contained within the work zones, or if there is remaining work that's out in the street, we'll have street plates covered. And 2 weeks from now, I guess 2 weeks from Saturday, when runners are at the end of their marathon and complete the jog, they'll at least see our construction site, but from a closed and safe environment. So we'll move on to the next slide. So street closures. Fortunately for us, the full street closure of Constellation Boulevard is in our rearview mirror. The remaining closures that we have are simply lane closures that will allow some of the remaining utility work to be completed, principally in Avenue of the Stars, but also just south of Avenue of the Stars on Constellation, there's a little bit of tie-in work. And that's what we are showing through 2022 is limited lane closures for remaining utility work. And in some cases to shift around equipment. At some point, there's going to be equipment lowered at the west end of the station to drill 4 remaining piles, but those will be done with lane closures, not full street closures. And the next slide is Business Interruption Fund. Jessica, I get to punt to you again.
Thank you. Here we have 105 grants have been awarded on Section 2. That's an increase of 6 grants since the last time we presented to you. Total grant value is a little over 2.9 million. We're almost to 3 million. Increase since our last grant, our last report to you is over 75,000, and business count is 49, which means that those businesses that received grants are repeat grantees. Thank you.
So with that, any questions?
Why don't we go to Mr. Crow and then we'll open up for the group. Thank you, Mr. Raleigh.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, President Good and commissioners, I guess we'll be a bit more serious now and not be disorganized. Just FYI, is actually Zeph and myself 20 years ago were actually helping the city build the ESIS and these sewers. So we actually worked with the city family there, and it's great to be back working with them again on these metro projects. So I mean, that's great. Anyway, so let's talk a bit about Purple Line. Just in case you've forgotten the project, that we haven't changed the length. It's 2.5 miles. We've got 2 underground stations. Just give you something about the geography here. We're obviously with one of the stations at Westwood VA Hospital. That's actually within federal property at the VA hospital. And then Westwood UCLA obviously is within the city. Actually, one of the entrances in state property, as the UCLA keep on telling us. And obviously west of the 405 is within the county jurisdiction, and obviously the 405 state. And then we've also got a bit with the FBI, so we've got another bit of federal. So we've got lots of jurisdictions, but obviously some of it's within the city. Where we are with the project, we're doing, we obviously not as far ahead as the others. We started later. The final design, we're doing very well. We think we're 89% complete. Overall project progress is 28%. And we've got a forecast revenue service date. That's when you can ride the trains for 2027. And our full funding grant agreement is based on us getting it completed by 2028, which I think there's a sporting event called the Olympics here in that year as well. So, and obviously the project ties in with Constellation over at Century City, where my office is as well. So I'm actually the opposite side of the building to Zeph. So you can probably hear me in echoing in the background. Next slide. So let's talk about the tunneling. We've been tunneling for a bit now. The first tunnel boring machine, Iris, which is the BR. We have BR and BL. We basically, if you're standing at Union Station, the BR means it's the right-hand one, and BL means it's the left-hand line when you're looking at Union Station. So you're now an expert on metro systems there. The Iris was relaunched in August 2021. What we mean by that is we don't have a station to launch the machine from. We're having to do it from a relatively small diameter shaft, 80-foot shaft. So once we'd driven about 500 feet, we then had to reconfigure the machine and the shaft bottom for full production. And so we did that. It takes a bit of time. And it says 1546. Reality actually is we've done a bit since I prepared the slide. So it's actually 1797, which is 13% of the tunneling for that BR tunnel. The BL tunnel, great name, Aura. That's the starter tunnel. This first 500 feet was completed, and we're currently configuring that TBM and its backup and everything for full production. And hopefully get started with full production next month. Yeah, touch wood. Other things that, I mean, there's something pretty important. We just go to the back a slide. That one, that's the one. Is if you look where it says 405, just to the east of the 405, I guess just the left of where it says Westwood, the W there, there's actually a 96-inch 96 massive Metropolitan Water District water pipeline that we have to tunnel underneath. So obviously that brings the lifeblood to this part of the city. So can we move back to where we were to slide 4? What is 44 or whatever? This one here. Okay. So one of the things before we tunnel under that, we've got to do some ground improvements and etc. to make sure that we've got the belts and suspenders there, and that's been quite a bit of tricky bit of work doing all this grouting. We did it from actually, instead of from the street, we actually did it from a remote site in a Caltrans site to avoid disruption to the street. That grouting is completed. We've been taking cores and doing a bunch of voodoo geophysics and whatnot to demonstrate to ourselves and also the Metropolitan Water District's okay. And the other activity that probably impacts the city on the tunneling side is we've been installing geotechnical instrumentation along the alignment. And a lot of that is basically an instrument to measure ground movements that's installed in a borehole. So that's the work on the tunneling. So I guess moving from the boring to the interesting. Next slide. Perhaps the most important is obviously for you guys at the city is the work in the city. We've got the Westwood UCLA station, which is next to UCLA on Wilshire Boulevard. We've been working away, obviously 3 years ago we started advanced utility relocation, and we started working away at that, and we're still with our main contractor doing sewer and storm drain relocations at the intersection of Wilshire and Gailey, and we completed a sewer relocation at Ashton, and I mean all of this wouldn't have happened without the great support from the city family, ConAd, the Bureau of Engineering, and obviously your colleagues at LADWP, Water and Power and Sanitation. But it's been a very collaborative effort in this work, and we really appreciate the help and the response to urgent requests that your staff provide. I mean, it's been very, 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 very good. The other thing we've done is we had to reroute an LA DOT fiber interconnection north and south of Wilshire that links all the traffic signals. That's been completed. And perhaps, and obviously, perhaps the most important thing we've done is, and this has been a massive effort working with the folks at LADOT, is implementation of the temporary traffic management on the westbound side or the kind of the north side where the westbound traffic is. We've taken a couple of lanes of westbound on Wilshire Boulevard, and that was an absolutely massive effort. It's not only just putting K-rail up and some white lines, it's reconfiguring traffic signals, etc., etc., and you guys have been superb, and that went without a hitch. So very thanks for that. And that's enabled us. If you look at you can see the picture on the bottom right. It shows we've taken a couple of lanes, and if you look on the picture on the bottom left, you can see the two pile rigs in action. You can see the steel soldier pile hanging in the air just to the right of the picture, and by that white crane. So it's enabled us to actually start doing the supportive excavation for the north wall. I've not got a slide on street closures, but just would like to just say, obviously, once we get the piling done on the north side of the station, we then need to swap the traffic over to do the piling on the south side. We expect to start that beginning of next year, and then once that piling is completed, we then do decking, and we're doing a lot of weekend and night work where we've got all sorts of traffic management in the area for this utility relocations, which we're still ongoing even as we start piling. Next slide. Just for completeness, even though it's kind of outside the city jurisdiction, I managed to find a slight connection, so bear with me. Obviously, this is within federal, county, and state jurisdictions, so instead of just a one-stop shop with the city, we've got lots of masters to deal with here. We've set up and done a dewatering pump test, a little pump test for dewatering there. So that's not that exciting, is it? We've got a bunch of instrumentation for the tunneling. One of the things, even though it probably doesn't matter that much having settlement in an area where we're going to be building a station and there's no streets, we're using this area to demonstrate to the MWD and Caltrans that we can tunnel with very nominal ground movements. so that they're happy to let us tunnel underneath one of the busiest freeways in the US and this 96-inch water main. The piling at that station has been completed. So you can see the picture on the left is, I guess, might be the last pile going in. Other work that we completed is we've done a sanitary sewer relocation, and we had to do a whole bunch of modifications to a Caltrans stormwater basin in order to build the work. So that's been completed. And I guess the connection with the city, it's a bit of a tenuous one, is we've actually been working with the organizers of the LA Marathon to make sure that our construction and their marathon and their planning for the marathon all works smooth, and there aren't obviously there's a few little bits and pieces where we need to do, but we are coordinating with that organization to make sure that marathon happens in the greatest city in the US. Next slide. No pictures here. I'm focusing here for schedule on the UCLA station. So if you look at the top line, utility relocations, they're going to be going on through the middle of next year. Obviously, piling started and going to be going through next year. Middle of next year, we'll start doing the decking, which once that decking's in, it will be we're basically working under the deck, and there'll be less impact on obviously the city streets. This is, if you go to line 3, station excavation and shoring, that's going on 22-23, and then we do obviously the concreting that you can see that Jim Cohen was talking about, and the system installation and testing that Stephanie was talking about, and we're looking at a revenue service forecast date of 2027. So that's obviously the big number that's not on there is, I guess, the 2028 Olympics. We've left that off, but because obviously our project isn't just being built for the Olympics, it's being built for the great city of LA. Next.
But you certainly won't forget that 2028 number.
I'm one of the things. It was a shame Paris got 24, but a massive sigh of relief for Mike McKenna and Kimberly Ong that we didn't have to finish our project by then.
I feel like perhaps you get a 2028 tattooed on your forearm, right? Like just to I've got one of these clocks that counts down the seconds to when our project needs to be finished. That's great. That is great.
So handing over to Jessica to talk about the Business Interruption Fund and the like.
Thanks, Matthew. This is my final update for you today. We have not yet awarded grants within this section, but the extensive construction activity that Matthew just went through, especially the piling work, is when we really start our outreach and work with businesses along the corridor. And so we've had some great meetings recently with our construction relations teams to better understand the businesses that are out here and to coordinate outreach, in particular looking at a lot of these high-rise businesses, the high-rise locations, I should say, or high-rise buildings, where we expect that there will probably be eligible businesses. Just for the good of the commission and for the audience that's listening, our program does support a lot of mom and pop businesses that you do see, along a rail corridor, your local cleaners, a local place that you might eat, but we do also work with professional offices, and so we have awarded grants on other corridors for folks that are attorneys, maybe dentists, different other types of professional offices as well. And so we will be working within the area and within those high-rise buildings to see which businesses may be eligible, and hopefully the next time we come and see you, we will have awarded some grants. Just to give you a total overall for our program, we've awarded over 1,200 grants, an increase of 33 since the last time we presented to you. Total grant value is over $3.2 million to small mom and pop businesses. Pretty excited about that. Since our last report, an increase of over 850,000, and business counts 425. That's an increase of 1, which I think we saw in Purple Line Extension Section 1, and everyone else was a repeat grantee. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Freeman. Mr. Gary, we good? How are we doing?
We're good. That will conclude our presentation, President Good.
All right. Here in a second, I'm going to introduce a motion to name tunnel boring machines after all the board. We've got outer covered, but we'll have to work on it right now. Past that note, any questions, colleagues?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Okay.
The purple line in terms of the north end, where is the ending destination of the purple line in terms of the north end of the project?
I mean, I can answer. Basically, the purple line is a kind of east-west running line, and the terminal station at the west is the one at the Veterans Affairs Administration, just west of the 405 on Wilshire, and that actually has a facility to connect with the buses that run on Wilshire, because that's actually part of the station.
I see. And so if I were at UCLA on the line and I wanted to get to the airport, I'd have to go back to the central area of the system in which to transfer down Crenshaw to get there. Is that right?
That is correct. You'd have to make, I'm just thinking here, as a transit user, you'd have to ride to 7th and Metro, get the Expo line, and go to the Crenshaw station on the Expo line, and then ride the new Crenshaw line to the airport connector station, and then get the automated people mover to wherever you want to at the airport.
So then the purple line will primarily give me access to the Westwood area, Wilshire Quarter area on the west end, basically. Give me better access to that without having to drive a car, obviously. Is that what the purpose of that one is?
We have another project, I'm not sure about the timing, which called Crenshaw North, that will able to intersect with these lines.
It's called Crenshaw North?
Yes.
Interesting. And this is something in phase 2 in the future for the system, is that correct?
I'm not sure about the timing, but the planning groups are doing something now. So, but I'm not.
Do we have funding for it, for this project?
I can't follow up.
I think it's in the future. Likewise, there's also. I mean, Sammy and myself, we build the stuff. We don't plan it. But there's also the Sepulveda Pass project has some connectivity with the Purple Line and other. So that's in the works. But again, it's not part of our the construction program that Sammy manages.
Okay, in terms of UCLA in and of itself, we have basically 2 stations on the campus, accessibility to the line. It's about two stations, is that correct? How many stations?
There's basically there's one station at UCLA. The station actually has 2.5 entrances.
Okay.
One of the entrances is on the northwest of the station box at lot 36 of UCLA. The second full entrance is where the Chase Bank is on Wilshire, just at the northeast entrance. And the half entrance is where the Red Rose is on Wilshire. And it's a half entrance because there's not enough room to get a full entrance in there.
Sure.
But it will have access with stairs for the able-bodied and elevator for those who aren't so mobile.
Sure. Now, you told me that the anticipated goal is 2028 for completion of the project for the Purple Line. Is that correct?
It's 2027 is when
2027. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any other questions, colleagues?
I did. I had some questions just on the first project. I thought we were going to wait till the end to ask our questions. So apologies for just going back to.
No, that's fine.
Just to the first. I think it was the Crenshaw line, and we have just wanted to make some comments because I think they're worth repeating. Thank you, Metro, for working with Streets LA on the Park Mesa Heights project. Just to be able to get during the pandemic when Streets LA was looking for additional work, just to be able to partner with us. I think that is a good use of tax dollars, so I appreciate that. I really like all of the artwork that's going up on the Crenshaw line. I don't know if it looked like the stops were similar artwork with I think the porcelain enamel, and I just wanted to ask about that. Is that indeed the case?
No, every station is different, right, Stephanie?
No, I'm just asking if the artist is done, like, it looks like every artwork is different. Indeed, I did notice that. My question is if the artist was the same.
No, we have different artists for each station and different artists for each art installation. For example, at the underground stations, we have art at the plaza level, at the concourse level, and at the platform level. They're all different types of installations, and they're all 3 different artists.
Okay. I just noticed that it's the porcelain enamel steel art at the Hyde Park station and at the Fairview Heights. That was the reasoning for my question.
Okay. They do look similar, but they are unique.
They're different artists. Okay. Yeah, it's just kind of similar technique. I just find it really, I really like the public artwork that is being displayed. It looks really beautiful on the Metro projects. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Anyone else? Commissioner Closer or Vice President Garcia?
I'm good on my end. Thank you. I just had that one question on the regional connector.
Great, thank you.
And thank you. I just want to say thank you to the LA Metro's team for today's presentation. I don't have any questions. My colleagues were asking very good questions. And I look forward to seeing all these pretty art happening around the city.
Mr. Gailey and team, thank you very much for this very comprehensive report. This is all very exciting and truly exciting that Crenshaw is so close to getting there and all this great work. So thank you for your continued work. We know we'll be seeing some of you for street closures. Look forward to being able to review this document moving forward and wish you all great luck in getting the work done. So thank you all so much, okay?
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right. All right, colleagues, let's take we have a full agenda still, and but I will do a recess. Let's make it 5 minutes, and let's hold to that, okay? So we are recessed for 5 minutes. We'll reconvene at 12:07.
Thank you.
Permit. During our EWDD working group, we uncovered 63% of revocable permit applications were never completed. I just don't see how we can expect to have a damaged industry to obtain a sidewalk seating permit under these existing policies. Thank you for your time, and go Dodgers.
Right.
Mr. President, that clears the line for comments.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Navarrete. I really appreciate you joining us. And appreciate your comments in your letter. All right. see our Swiss Army knife leader, Ted Allen, and Mr. Perez with us as well. Welcome, and please proceed.
All right, thank you, President Good. I'll start out, and thank you, commissioners. Good afternoon. We just crossed into afternoon, I guess. Very happy here to present some suggested recommended changes to the sidewalk dining policy. As you all know, through COVID, sidewalk dining has been one of the tools helping to keep many food service establishments in business, as we've had a variety of rules over time. Those continue to operate under an alfresco temporary approval. At some point, alfresco will end, and so this policy that is before you today for consideration of policy changes is really more about what the policy will be after COVID. And for the most part, it's relaxing a lot of things from the current policy. Today's report is not to address specifically the transition of existing alfresco into revocable permits. I think there's continuing conversations on that. Just today, City Council, adopted an item asking for BOE to report back within 30 days on how to transition those. So I think the transitional process may be a little different and maybe won't go into as much as this normal policy. So what we're discussing today is after alfresco transition, after things are, kind of back to small individual numbers, what it would be. And so, and that's a continual process, even if there are some items in here today, as you heard public comment suggesting further changes. This is always a living policy that the board has had, so we can continue to have those conversations and possibly bring other recommended changes in the future. So, but we feel like what we have today is a good start. In the meantime, it changes kind of the starting point of, what the regular process is. And so looking at through alfresco and through what we've been doing recently, we have a number of changes that we're proposing today. We give some background on various council actions, and as I mentioned, there was another update today. I won't go through all the details of those, but in general, it's just that, of course, City Council's been very interested in how the existing alfrescos would be transitioned and what the sidewalk dining policy is. So the Bureau of Engineering recommends continuing to use the revocable permit as the mechanism for sidewalk dining approvals, as it's really the only tool we have currently approved. And the revocable permit itself is very easy. The process is really, well, what are we going to check for? And that's the board's policy, and is always, of course, subject to change should the board choose to change it. So some of the things that are bulleted in the sidewalk dining in the board report itself, we are recommending adding the ability for sidewalk dining to extend beyond the frontage of the restaurant if the neighboring property owners are agreeable, amenable to that. And we have seen that in the pilot program in the harbor. There were situations where the neighbors were happy to have the sidewalk dining extend in front of their business. So that is proposed as a change. Made some clarifications and changes on the pedestrian access route and sidewalk condition requirements. Most specifically, it would change when sidewalk repairs would be required from a 1/4-inch vertical uplift, which was the prior policy, to a more relaxed only if there's a 1/2-inch uplift. We did feel like beyond a 1/2 inch does start to get difficult for someone that's mobility impaired. However, the language of the policy that's proposed also clarifies they wouldn't necessarily have to replace all of the sidewalk, but just remediate those situations where there is that level of uplift. It does propose taking more of the applicant's word for the situation, I guess you could say, kind of a more optimistic approach, which would mean we wouldn't have to do a field visit which would then mean that the fee would be reduced from tier 2 to tier 1, which is less than half. It brings the fee under $1,000, where it's closer to $2,000 with the current tier 2. So instead of doing the field visit, we would rely on the applicants to relay the field conditions, and would only look into that if there's a complaint or reason to suspect that that's not accurate. We did add a noise restriction as really, I think, the only area where this is proposed to be more stringent than the current. In alfresco, we did have some issues sometimes with restaurants that operated very late at night right next to residential areas. So this policy would say they couldn't go beyond 10:30 p.m. if they're adjacent to a residential area without board approval, because of course the board can always approve deviations to the standard policy, but it means without board approval, it would limit anything adjacent to a residential area to 10:30 p.m. operations. And we did, at the request of some of the council offices and business improvement districts, we're proposing that the policy be amended to allow business improvement districts or other kind of similar entities may satisfy some of the permit requirements on behalf of the applicant and kind of can help the applicant through the process officially. So that's the high level summary of the change. You have as transmittal 1, we did the recommended new policy kind of as a separate document as transmittal 1, so it's kind of easy for us to link on our websites and everything without being kind of embedded in a board report. So that's where you'll see all the full details of the policy. We did some other small clarifications, like on maintenance. We did point out that they should be collecting their private trash and putting it in their private trash collection, not in the. We've had a few cases where there might be a city trash can nearby, and that was being used, and they were getting overloaded. So there were some kind of changes of that type too that weren't highlighted in the board report. And so I don't think I'm supposed to respond to public comment, but I certainly can if you want me to on any of those topics. But there can be continued conversations on that. And with that, I'll ask if there's any questions, or I don't know if Mr. Perez had any comments to add.
Emmanuel Perez, Streets LA. Good afternoon, everybody. No comments from Streets LA. We're just here to help enforce any current policy by either educating the applicants or, worst case, enforcing.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Thank you, Mr. Perez. Colleagues, let's open this up for questions. We'll start with Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Ted, good to see you and everyone else that's been working around the sidewalk dining. I appreciate your time and your efforts on this. And very important, especially now, I think even more so for our residents and especially for our business owners. This is coming at a good time, and I'm happy that we're here now. I made notes on just 3 things, and they're not very cumbersome, and I think it's more of clarification. One is your bid applicant through the so you talked about the bid or the bid folks. Can you just clarify that more? So I guess what I'm not clear on is our bid are like the one that runs the bid for that area. Would that entity be the one that can apply for other small business restaurants in that area, or each restaurant owner has to apply on their own and just kind of go through the bid?
I think we would still want to issue the individual revocable permits to the businesses, but the bid could apply on their behalf and assist them with it. But like in the pilot project in the harbor, we did recommend have individual separate permits because some restaurants may change or go out of business or whatnot, and so it's really going to be hard if they're all intermingled in one. Even if the bid is helping, say, a handful or 7 at one time, it's still, I think, better to have the individual revocable permits, but it would enable the bids to do a lot of the legwork for the restaurants should they wish to assist.
That's good, Ted. I appreciate both angles to it. One is, I think it's better that each small business has their own permit because they can change, or owner changes, or their theme changes, or whatever that is, and they've already gone through the process. Or if new business owners come in and want to change the setting around, that's important. So good for that. But also good on the other front that applicants can have kind of help around this, more specifically for those smaller, very small restaurant owners that probably have a hard time going through this process. So good job on that. I appreciate that. My second one, and I think this was at the very beginning of your presentation, you talked about field visits being now moved, because you won't do a field visit and they're now moving to tier 1. And I'm sorry that I'm being very technical. I was still trying to process the whole thing. Would a video instead, since we're now in the era of videos for everything, would a video instead of a field visit would suffice? I know that there's already a solution to it, but I'm thinking if we don't have our staff to go out there, can either the business owner or somebody take a live video or something like that? I don't know if that's part of your conversation already.
Yeah, I think that will be part of, they can provide, maybe just photos would be enough in many cases. And we can use aerial photos and Navigate LA and Street View and things like that from the office without going to the field. But if we have a specific question or something, I think oftentimes photos may be enough. But yeah, as you mentioned, a video may be very useful in some circumstances too. So we'll use all of those tools.
Okay. Thank you for that. I only said that just because because we're using that so much right now, and it's just become part of our life now for the past year and a half. I think if we can't go out and do a field visit, then definitely a live video or live stream would definitely be the same. And then my last one, and I think this is probably more for enforcement. I know we're going to be complaint driven after the fact of, and I heard from enforcement that, you'll go out there and educate. But we didn't go into if somebody does not comply or continuously does not follow any parameters that we're putting. What is the action then?
We have several avenues of action. We can start off with a notice of violation, which is basically putting them on record that they're spoken to on what the violation was and how to correct it. We could move or progress to an administrative hearing, either via Zoom or in the field, and getting something in writing that they agree to comply with our recommendations. Or we could go straight to an A citation, which is a monetary citation for the first citation of $250, and progresses to $500. Then the third would be $1,000, and then after that, we would file the city attorney criminal complaint against them.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Perez. And I just want to say to the Streets LA team, thank you for now adding another part to your enforcement duties. And I already know that your team's already stretched with so much that you have to do out in the street. So thank you for now, taking this into consideration and always taking the route of education and outreach first. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That's all for me, President Good. I will pass it back to you. And thank you both, Mr. Perez and Ted, for today's presentation.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis. You're on mute, Mike.
Yeah, I just have a question about the timing of the policy. When do we intend to begin to implement this?
Since the policy is essentially making things easier in all regards except for the noise one, which really shouldn't be much of an issue on most applications, our suggestion would be just to make it take place immediately, just replace with today's action to just replace the policy effective immediately.
Okay. All right. That's it for me, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. By the way, to Mr. President, or also I'm going to guess another, or to Vice President Garcia's question, I guess the ultimate penalty, for lack of a better way to put it, would be revocation of permit too, ultimately, right?
Yeah, that's correct, and that's noted in item number 15 on the proposed policy.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Allen and Mr. Bettis, for joining us today. I appreciate also just the public comment that we received. So I just wanted to ask you, Mr. Allen, just a couple of things regarding the public comment that we heard, if you can just address it, because I know that you're familiar with this, and so that we are just cognizant of public comment. Just a couple of items on Mr. Eddie Navarrete's letter. Just on the sidewalk conditions, I think it mentions here, I think the owners of the restaurant need to make some repairs and hire some construction folks to do that. If you can talk to that. If you can also talk to just the R permit requirements, just that they, from their perspective, seem time consuming and they'd like to do some self-certification. If you could speak to those two items.
Yeah, so those, so the sidewalk condition, we do recognize, I think that's the biggest hurdle for some of the businesses if they happen to have a bad, poor condition sidewalk in front of them. So we did, a half-inch uplift is pretty significant. So that will greatly reduce the number of cases where they would have to do any sidewalk repairs. And we did propose language that would allow them to just remediate that half-inch uplift without having to replace the entire sidewalk. So I do think that will help in quite a lot of situations. And as I mentioned, we'll be discussing and probably bringing back to the board maybe a slightly different proposed approach to how to transition al fresco, but for today we're talking about the ones not in al fresco, because there is possibility maybe in the al fresco transition we wouldn't consider that, or it would be different. So, but as far as the non-al fresco transition, the regular policy, it is significantly relaxed from the current policy, and we're hoping that that would be a nice balance of not having really bad tripping hazards on the sidewalk, but not being nearly as difficult for the food service establishments to meet. The other item, what they call the RPR letter, that's our requirements. You'll find it as item 12. Item 12 itself, our permit requirements, is really just a letter that documents all of the various conditions. So it's kind of like the sum of all of these other things that we're looking at. And so the letter itself, I think, isn't the issue. It's the contents of that letter. You know, one of the contents might be you need to fix your sidewalk. Those were really the issues that were doing a lot of the back and forth. So I do think with these various changes, and we actually even changed the language of item 12 a little bit from the current policy to not call it an RPR letter anymore, because we may be doing away with the letters altogether, but it's really just, we put together a summary of our requirements, but those requirements all come out of these other policy items. So I don't see that itself as an issue. It's more all those other individual items. So for example, he had brought up the waiver of damages and the need to get it recorded. We honestly didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the recording side of it, because a lot of sidewalk dining permits are to tenants, and on tenants we don't have them recorded to the deed anyway. But since we do require that if there's an ownership change, the new owner needs to get a new permit anyway, I do think that's something that could be considered. We could make the change today, or I could bring it back another time, but I think the waiver of damages itself, the notary is not that big a deal. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a pain to get a notary, but we've all done that. But having it recorded on the deed is a much bigger step, even though it doesn't happen a lot because many of them are tenants. I do think it's something we could just say as a matter of practice. Sidewalk dining doesn't need to be recorded on deeds, because normally revocable permits we record it on the deed because maybe they have a retaining wall in the public right-of-way and they have certain maintenance responsibilities, or they have irrigation and they have maintenance responsibilities. So we want the new owner, if someone buys that property, we want them to be aware of those responsibilities before they take ownership of that property. But in this case with sidewalk dining, since we say if you ownership changes, you need to come get a new permit from us anyway, there's not necessarily a responsibility that carries over with the new owner. So I do think that that would be a change we're very open to as far as, those that were suggested from that letter. I think those were the three things I remember from his letter.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know that you're familiar and that you've met with them in the past as well. I just wanted to acknowledge it here in our meeting and just know so that anybody else who's listening to this also recognizes that Bureau of Engineering really takes this seriously and is working with restaurant owners to be able to address some of these issues. Thank you so much. You're muted.
Commissioner Villegas, Commissioner Caloza.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you to my colleagues for all your great questions. I don't have any questions for Mr. Allen or Mr. Perez since they briefed me on this. I'll just make a few comments about how these policy changes before us today are really improvements to the existing program. And as Mr. Allen mentioned, it's going to be a working document. This is not the first time we've made improvements to this program, and it's not going to be the last time. And so these are just some of the ones that we thought were low-hanging fruit that we could address with the intent and goal of making it easier ultimately on the applicant. And I really want to commend Mr. Allen, Mr. Tangiri, Tanat, as well as, of course, Mr. Perez, Streets LA DOT, and the Mayor's Office, Jennifer Pope McDowell, for all their work on this. It's been really, I think, a big improvement to the city process and has been a lifeline to a lot of our small businesses, as we heard during COVID-19. And so I think that that opportunity of standing up the Alfresco program has allowed us to really look at our own policies a lot more closely about what more we can do. And the reason why it's so complicated, why we ask people to get a permit in the first place, is because of the tremendous amount of work that BOE puts into each permit application. One of their main responsibilities is really making sure that we are taking responsibility for risk and liability for people that we allow to operate in the public right-of-way. And that's why we have these requirements. And that's been a huge part of this program. And so just a lot of things from my end, no specific questions. And I also want to thank Gary Lee Moore, our city engineer. I was like, I knew I was forgetting to thank one person, just Gary, that guy. But no questions from me. Thank you both so much for your work on this, Mr. Perez and Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Commissioner, and agreed very much. I do think a really, really crucial part of this policy, at the risk of being mastered the obvious, is this is the public right-of-way. And so to Commissioner Calosa's point, we are the guardians thereof, and it's, simply put, it's crucial. I mean, we just, it is crucial that we address that. A question, Ted, on the waiver. So, if you're not or even if you are a property owner, are you required to submit a waiver to BOE as part of your process?
Yeah, so everybody in the process has to submit a waiver of damages that's notarized and signed. I would defer to Ted Jordan of how much weight the notary gives and that sort of thing. But as far as I think one of the biggest issues that people have said is difficult is then having to have it recorded on the deed of the property. So in the current practice, if you're a leasee, if that's the right term, if you're leasing the property, you would not be required to have it recorded on the deed, which a lot of restaurants don't. But if you're the property owner and you're operating a restaurant, our current policy is that then it would be recorded on the deed. I do, in thinking about it, since we do have a different statement that if there's an ownership change, they need to come and get the revocable permit changed to the new owner, then I do think there probably wouldn't be much harm in just having a practice of not having anyone recorded against the deed of the property. We would have a record of it because the new owner really doesn't carry responsibility related to it. So I think, if there was interest, you could achieve that goal by just deleting the last clause of number 10 after the last semicolon, where it says, and if signed on behalf of the property owner, it shall be recorded with the Los Angeles County Recorder's Office. I think from our end, I don't see really any, it would make it easier for people, and we would still have the waiver of damages on our file. It just wouldn't be recorded with the county recorder.
Okay. What I would like to do, because I do feel like it's pretty, as has been said, this was a lifeline in so many ways, and almost an epiphany in terms of sort of missed opportunity in the past. I'm fairly convinced that recording requirement is unnecessarily redundant, for lack of a better way to put it. I'm talking strictly about the recording, not the waiver of damages. And what I would ask, and I think it probably impacts a small universe, but in the spirit of expediting this work, would be if Ted, if you could plan to revisit that part. It may require coming back, but I'd like us to chip away at all elements that are not, frankly necessary. And as discussed, this is a fluid document, and so I would really like to do that. I'm not gonna motion to amend here. Let you take a step back with your team, but I would like to revisit that because it just honestly feels gratuitous, and I think that's the goal, and it's the goal that you guys have worked towards, is eliminating all things gratuitous here to get to this. So I would ask that you do that and report back, and let's possibly all things being equal, let's plan one other amendment on that front.
Sure.
Secondarily, I just want to clarify for the public record again, this is not, because there are things happening obviously in council, including today, around al fresco, that this is separate from the process that y'all will be working on figuring out how to transition al fresco folks into this process, which is something that's been directed by council, correct?
Sorry, repeat that one more time.
Apologize. No, that's probably me. I'm just reaffirming that this is independent of the process that y'all are also engaged in to define a process for transitioning al fresco participants into a regular R permit process or regime.
Correct, although so the way I'm envisioning, because it is somewhat complex with council asking for report backs, but it's a board policy. So the way I'm kind of envisioning approaching the al fresco transition is a report back to council, that would update them on our plan to work with the board to consider a more streamlined process to transition al fresco, but that the actual process itself would come first back through the board. And so we would, recommend maybe for these that have already been operating under al fresco, we will check these 1, 2, 3 things, but not these 7 things or something. And so I envision giving the council an update on our approach, but coming back to the board fairly soon with what that would actually be to get the board's, seems like it would be appropriate for the board to be the one to approve that process.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Ted. And I'm certainly not interested in usurping any purview of the council, but it does make sense since we're sort of the holders of the sidewalk dining policy period, our permit policy, that it would, do that. And then I think they would prefer, quite frankly, my hunch is council would prefer us to act as engage in our oversight capacity and review capacity before it gets to them anyway. But I think elegantly, that affords as an opportunity, we could also, in that, when you come back with that, we could also address potentially not the notary, but the recording, the deed recording requirement. When you come back with that, we could also address whatever determination you come to or recommendation you come to on making that adjustment as well. Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Yeah, that's a great plan.
Perfect. Okay. So I will thank you, Ted. Thank you, Manuel. Thank you, Mr. Navarrete, and colleagues. I will take a motion to approve the item.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any concern? Actually, Dr. Campos, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. The Commissioner Colosa has moved and seconded by Commissioner Villegas to approve the new policy to replace the sidewalk sidewalk dining program policy. We will go ahead and take the vote tabulation at this time. President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. Can you please unmute your microphone?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Colosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Mr. President, would you like to consider this item to go forthwith?
Yes, sir. Let's adopt this forthwith. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you.
Folks, forgive me, but I have to leave. I will hand the proverbial gavel over to Vice President Garcia and wish you all a great and productive rest of your days. And lest I forget, lest I leave it out, go Blue, go Dodgers. Have great days. Thank you all very much, okay? Thank you, Dr. Campos. Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Aura Garcia, Vice President, and I'll just keep going with today's agenda on the item that we have not attended to, which is items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6. And is that all right, Dr. Campos?
That is correct. Items 1 through 6.
Okay, perfect. We'll go just down the line and we'll start with item number 1. So item number 1, this is a contract for Council District 6. This is a contract award for PPC Constructions, Inc. at Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant, Influent and Effluent Flow Monitoring Infrastructure CIP 6216. 1, recommending the board to 1, declare PPC Construction, Inc. first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award PPC a contract for the Donald C. Tillman Water Treatment Reclamation Plant, Influent and Effluent Modern Infrastructure Project for $1,688,900. And 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. With that, Mr. Shaw, you're here to present on today's item.
Thank you, Commissioner. Nader Shah, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. On May 26, 2021, the Capital Improvement Project 6216, Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant, Influent and Effluent Flow Monitoring Infrastructure Project was advertised by the board. 4 bids were received on July 21st, 2021. The DCT water reclamation plant is designed to treat 80 million gallons per day of influent flow, but does not have flow meters capable of measuring influent. Accurate flow data is critical for flow control and operations, as well as to help the future addition of advanced water purification facility at the DCT Tillman plant. This project will install 4 maintenance holes and retrofit an existing maintenance hole and implement electrical and instrumentation control upgrade for future monitoring equipment. The contract duration is 365 calendar days. On August 11, 2021, the Program Review Committee approved a construction budget of $2,027,000 and $459, including contingency. The recommendation is to declare PPC construction first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award PPC a contract for this project for $1,688,900. That concludes my report. If there are any questions, I can answer.
Thank you, Mrs. Shaw, for your report. I'll send it over to my colleagues, see if they have any questions. We'll start with Dr. Davis.
No questions for me on this particular item. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. I don't have any questions either on this item.
Thank you. And Commissioner Calosa?
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. I don't have any questions. Thank you for your report, Mr. Shaw, and for your work on this as well, Jaime.
Great. I don't have any other questions either, Mr. Shaw. Is there a motion to move this item forward?
So moved.
Second. I'll take a motion from Commissioner Calosa and a second from Villegas. With that, Dr. Campos, we can tabulate the votes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a motion from Commissioner Calosa, seconded by Commissioner Villegas to adopt item number 1. We'll start with the voting tabulation. Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa?
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
Thank you. This motion carries and approved. Madam Vice President, would you like to consider this item to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Shaw and Mr. Haddad, for your time. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 2 now. This is a motion for in Council District 14. This is a contract award to Axiom Group for Los Angeles Neighborhood Improvement Evergreen Park Street Enhancement Project. This is a federal project number CML 5006859, recommending the board to 1, approve the request of CEM Construction Corporation first low bidder to withdraw their bid for the Lanny Evergreen Park Enhancement Project as discussed in this report. 2, declare Axiom Group second low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Axiom a contract for this project for $797,550. And 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. With that, Mr. Fierce is here to do today's presentation. Mr. Fierce?
That's good afternoon. Yes, so some background on this project. This project is located in Boyle Heights within the limits of Soto Street to Lorena Street and from 1st Street to 6th Street. The project consists of the installation of new crosswalks at 14 intersections, 68 new street trees, bus stop security lighting, bus shelters, bus benches, curb ramps, and a 1-year street tree maintenance period. The contract duration is 240 calendar days. The project was determined to be categorically exempt pursuant to the provisions of CEQA, and we received 2 bids. The 2 bids compared to the city's engineer's estimate of $685,630 was SEM was the low bid at $690,300, and Axiom was $797,550. Some, the first low bidder requested that the board allow them to withdraw their bid due to a clerical error. Staff reviewed the request and determined that the information provided substantiated the clerical error in filling out the final bid, making their bid substantially lower than their intended bid price. The Bureau of Engineering recommends that SEM be allowed to withdraw their bid. Axiom, the apparent second lowest bidder, becomes the lowest responsible bidder. The staff believes that this bid is reasonable and the contract may be awarded to Axiom. The project is federally funded and is subject to the city's DBE program with a goal of DBE goal of 12%. Axiom pledged 91.47% and have met the goal. Axiom has worked on numerous contracts issued by the board with no significant or unresolved problems. Axiom was requested to extend their bid bond. The bid bond was set to expire on October 8, 2021, and has been extended to November 5th, 2021. Funding for the project is through a federal grant appropriation in the amount of $1,076,023, and additional construction funding from the Popeye Bus Stop Security Lighting Fund in the amount of $161,875. With that ends my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Fears. Appreciate your report. Colleagues, any questions for Mr. Fears on this item? We'll start with Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you very much. Just wanted to double check. You did communicate to CEM that they were, excuse me. Do I have it? I don't know if I have it.
You have it right.
Mixed up. Yeah. So CEM's a new low bidder, but Axiom was the second lowest bidder. And I guess they didn't turn in, or we are going to be doing it. I'm so sorry. I got myself all confused here. I just want to make sure that there was communication with the folks that weren't able to submit all the important paperwork or the requirements for this bid, just to have two-way communication. And it seems like we have, but I'm just asking the question as a confirmation.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, I believe that there's been a thorough communication since SEM has actually initiated the request to withdraw.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. I got myself all tripped up. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Vegas. No worries. I was like, you got it right. Commissioner Calosa.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. I don't have any questions. Thank you for your report, Mr. Fierce.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. And Dr. Davis, any questions?
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions either. Thanks for the report and the update in terms of the change.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Mr. Fierce, I don't have any questions. I know I asked basically a similar question to Commissioner Villegas in my briefing with you. And so I understand that everything's clear and there's a clear communication and we're all ready to move forward with this item, right? Without any situations.
That's correct.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. Fierce, for that. With that, I'm open to any motions to move it forward.
I move that we accept this item.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Second?
Second that.
And a second by Commissioner Villegas. Any objections? Nope. Okay, hearing none. Dr. Campos, can you tabulate the vote today, please?
Absolutely. There's been a motion by Commissioner Davis, seconded by Commissioner Villegas to adopt report item number 2. Voting tabulation will be Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
Motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this item to be forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Fierce, for your time. Have a good day. Unless you're here with us for the next item.
Thank you.
Oh, you are.
Oh no, it's just.
Oh, you're not. Okay, good. Have a good day. Thank you. All right. Moving along with my item number 3. This is an item report in Council District 6. Right, we are on 3. This is a contract award for SJDNV Inc. At the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant, Japanese Garden, American Disability Act Compliance, CIP 8654. Recommending the board to 1, declare SJDNV Inc. first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award SJDB a contract for this project for $930,910. Authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. And with that, we have Mr. Shah and Mr. Haddad again. Thank you for your time. If I would have known, I would have just taken you guys right next to each other. But thank you so much. We're here to hear your report now.
Thank you, Commissioner. Nadir Shah, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. On May 21st, 2021, the Capital Improvement Project, CIP 8654, Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant, Japanese Garden, ADA Compliance Project was advertised by the board. 3 bids were received for this project on July 14, 2021. This project will implement Americans with Disabilities Act ADA compliant upgrades to the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant, Japanese Garden. 2 pedestrian bridges will be demolished and replaced with ADA compliant bridges, and 1 new family style ADA compliant restroom will be constructed. The contract duration is 365 calendar days. The Japanese garden will remain in operation during construction. On November 1st, 2019, the Program Review Committee approved the revised construction budget of $1,197,000. The recommendation is to declare SJDNB the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award SJDNB a contract for this project for $913,910. This concludes my report. If you have any questions, we answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw, for your report. Appreciate it. Colleagues, any questions on this item? We'll start with Commissioner Calosa.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. I don't have any questions for this item. Glad we were able to, continue this project. I know it was temporarily halted or paused because of the pandemic, but glad that we're able to do this as we start to reopen our facilities to the public. So I know Vice President Garcia is a frequent visitor to your Japanese gardens. I'm sure she'll appreciates this as well. So thank you, Mr. Shah. Thank you, Hamid.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa, and ditto on that. I did ask the question on will this impact people visiting the Japanese garden during construction, and I was told no, because it's very strategic how the construction will happen. So folks, we're looking forward to opening our Japanese garden no later than the beginning of the coming year. So by January, the first, second week of January is when we're looking forward to opening the Japanese garden. It doesn't go with this, but just thought I would make a slight commercial there. All right, Commissioner Villegas, any questions?
I do not have any questions. I appreciate just the information and the context. Thanks.
Thank you. And Dr. Davis, any questions?
No, I thank Mr. Shaw for the report, and I don't have any questions on the item.
Great. Mr. Shaw, that seems to be 2 for 2. No questions. All good with you. All great. I can move this one more forward. I'll move this one. Any seconds?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, I as moving it, and second with Dr. Davis. Do we need to tabulate the vote?
Absolutely. We'll take the vote now. Vice President Garcia,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza,
Aye.
and Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item 3 is adopted. Madam Chair, would you like to consider this item to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shaw and Mr. Haddad. Have good days.
Thank you.
And thank you for working on this. Bye-bye. All right, colleagues, we're gonna take item 4 and 5 together, and then we'll just have 6 at the end. So I'll read out 4 and I'll read out 5 at the same time, and then we'll take a motion from there. This is item number 5. This is a report in Council District 8, 9, and 15. This is a contract acceptance sidewalk repair program package number 44, recommending the board to 1, accept this contract. Item number 5, this is a board report for Council Districts 4, 5, and 10. This is a contract acceptance for the Wilshire Bus Rapid Transit, curb lanes in Wilshire Boulevard Middle Lanes, federal number FTA CA 03-0851. Recommending the board to 1, accept this contract. With that, I take Mr. Bagby is here for reports. All right, Mr.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, commissioners. We are requesting that your acceptance of this project, the Sidewalk Repair Program Package number 44. This project was awarded to Mike Perlich and Sons Incorporated August 5th, 2019 in the amount of $1,440,690.25 with a not to exceed amount of $1,728,829. The notice to proceed was issued on September 3rd, 2019. This project reconstructed sidewalks at 15 locations and ensured quality and compliance with all ADA requirements. There are 2 change orders issued on this project, which gave us a final contract amount of $1,652,347.77. The final corrections were completed October 27th, 2020. Funding was provided from the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Program. Our contractor has complied with the equal employment opportunity and labor compliance requirements of this contract. There are no unresolved property owner complaints in connection with this project. There are no disputed funds. There are no funds due to the contractor. Therefore, we are requesting acceptance of this contract. And
Thank you, Mr. Bagby.
Continue?
Let's see if you any other. Did you do both reports for both items?
I can do the next one? Yes. All right.
Let's do the next one too.
All right. So the next project is the Wilshire Bus Rapid Transit curb lanes and Wilshire Middle Lanes. It's a hard one to say. We just called it the BRT project. Now, it was awarded to the Griffith Company in July 26, 2013. The contract amount was $11,858,160, which gave us a total authorized budget for this project of $14,229,791. This project provided for new curb and gutter, new pavement and roads, catch basins, and of course, we put in brand new trees and landscaping, which beautified the entire area. We also included conduits so that we could come back and add this area to our ADSAC control system. There were 126 change orders on this project, which increased our final contract amount to $13,762,048.73. Now that's 16% above the awarded amount, but it's 3% below our authorized budget. And that's primarily due to the extent of having to repair and replace the concrete streets that were within the footprint of our project. Now, the funding was provided through the transportation grant funds, gas tax, and Measure R. Our contractors complied with the equal employment opportunity and labor compliance requirements of the contract. Final corrections were completed March 18th, 2016. There were no unrelated or unresolved property owner complaints in connection with this project. There are no disputed funds. There are no funds due to our contractor. Therefore, we are requesting acceptance of this contract.
Thank you, Mr. Bagley, for both reports. Appreciate that. Any questions, colleagues? We'll start with Dr. Davis.
No questions for me. Oh, well, I just have not really any specific questions about this particular contract and the vendor, but hopefully when we look at these packages of sidewalk repair projects that we have, I would love to see some of these $1 million projects broken down for the small businesses. And then if they're over $2 million, then I think that's where the big corporate firms come in. These little $1 million things are great. We could keep these little small people working. Moving forward in the future, it has no direct impact upon this particular grant, but yet at the same time, it's a suggestion as we look at transformative leadership, that we would look at something as small as $1 million for a corporate firm. $1 million is really nothing. I would love to see these little $1 million opportunities transformed to at least some of them to creating opportunities for smaller businesses. So that's just my observation. No problems with the motion.
Good point, Dr. Davis. Appreciate your continued advocacy on that, and ditto too. Commissioner Calosa, any questions?
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Thank you for your presentation and report, Mr. Bagby. I don't have any questions for you on these items.
Thank you. And Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. I don't have any questions either. I'm glad these contracts were successful. Thank you.
Agreed. Mr. Bagby, you came with good conclusion on both contracts, so we're good to go. Anyone want to put in a motion to move it forward?
I'll move them. Items 4 and 5.
Thank you. I'll second it. So with that is a motion by Commissioner Villegas, second by myself. Dr. Campos, are you ready to tabulate the vote?
Yes, and for the record, this is to adopt reports item number 4 and 5.
Yes.
Start the voting tabulation. Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa.
Aye.
Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
Both items are approved. Motion carries forward. Madam Chair, would you like to consider items 4 and 5 forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Appreciate that. And now for our last item of the day, this is item number 6. This is a contract acceptance for Council Districts 3 and 15. This is a bridge preventative maintenance for Tampa Avenue, Peterson Avenue, and Vermont Avenue. Recommended the board to 1, accept this contract, 2, assess CPO Enterprises Inc. with a penalty in the amount of $1,250 for the unauthorized subcontractor substitution of one bid listed SDE/LBE subcontractor, and 3, instruct the Director of Office of Accounting to disencumber the recommended city penalty in the amount of $1,250 from the project fund. Mr. Gutierrez, ready for you.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner. As mentioned, staff's recommendation is to assess prime contractor CPO Enterprises Inc., CPO, with a penalty in the amount of $1,250 for the unauthorized subcontractor substitution of one bid listed SB/LB subcontractor. The subcontractor in question is named PCI. They were bid listed to perform striping work totaling $12,500. The OCC verified that PCI performed only $8,128.48 worth of work. Therefore, the contractor may be assessed a penalty of $1,250, which is 10% of their bid listed amount. OCC notified the contractor of the potential penalty. They responded stating that they had a subcontractor's change order between themselves and PCI, which they assert accounted for that $4,371.52 difference. However, per bid proposal requirements, any reduction or other change to a subcontract amount without prior approval of the inspector is considered an unauthorized subcontractor substitution, subject to a penalty of 10% of the subcontract amount. OCC shared with CPO that change orders between a contractor and subcontractor are not considered as city authorized reductions. And since OCC did not find any city approval to reduce PCI's amount, staff recommends that the penalty of $1,250 be assessed. That concludes my report. I could take any questions now.
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. Appreciate your report. With that, we'll pass it on over to our colleagues. Commissioner Villegas, any questions?
Thank you for your report. I don't have any questions. I think your report was substantive and fair. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner Calosa.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Thanks for your report, Mr. Gutierrez. Just to clarify, I know in the board report it says that they choose not to appear before the board, but did we notify them of today's hearing in case they wanted to show up?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And just curious, are they a first-time bidder?
You know, I believe they were a bidder under a different name. CPO is a newer company, but I believe they were doing business with the city under a different name.
Got it. Okay. So they've done business with the city before. They understand our process about how to substitute
Yes, that's right.
the contractors. And of course, they signed that they understood that when they accepted the contract. So I appreciate BCA's diligence in doing this. I know it seems like, you know, it's $1,250, right? It seems like a small amount, but it's important to enforce the requirements that we have in place to do this work. So I don't have anything further for your team. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. And Dr. Davis, any questions?
None for me at all. I've been briefed on this one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, with that, Mr. Gutierrez, seems like you have given us a good report. Anyone wants to move forward in motion?
I move.
Dr. Davis moves the motion forward. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Villegas. With that, Dr. Campos, we're ready to tabulate the vote.
Absolutely, Madam Chair. We'll go ahead and take vote for approving item number 6. Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Calosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
Item carries unanimous. For item number 6, Madam Chair, would you like to consider this item to go forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Mr. Gutierrez, I think we're good for today.
Thank you.
Your item has been approved. Have a good rest of the day and a good rest of the week.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I think we are done, right, Dr. Campos?
That is correct, Madam Chair. You have cleared the deck.
Perfect. So with that, we adjourn today's meeting, and we'll see you all on Friday.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of the afternoon, everyone. Thank you, colleagues. Bye-bye.